Hello and welcome to our math lesson for today. This is 7th grade math with Mr. Barrett. We are going to go over lesson 1-2 and 1-4 today. We're going to skip over 3 and get into these two because they are dealing with the same standard. We're always here at OPA working on our standards, working on the standards. So we'll work on whatever lesson focuses on that standard. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, I have my notes ready to go. You should be keeping track of your notes as well, somewhere safe that you can go back and see them and put them in order. Now, since I'm doing 1-2 and 1-4 today, and tomorrow you'll be doing 1-3 and 1-5, you'll just put the 1-3 and 1-5 behind 1-2 and 1-4. We're combining this one. This is the second lesson that we're doing, so we're going to go ahead and use this system of keeping them in order. So we're going to talk about adding and subtracting integers today. We did a little bit of that last time when we were just talking about what made 0. It's pretty simple. So we're going to go a little bit more difficult today, but still should be pretty good. First of all, our anticipatory set, which I'm just abbreviating there. I don't know if anyone watched it, but on Monday night, yes, there was football. But there was also a great program called American Ninja Warrior. I don't know if anyone else watches that show, but if you do, it's where these athletes come and they have to go through these obstacle courses. And for the first time on last Monday night, spoilers, someone became a full-fledged American Ninja Warrior. So one of my favorite things to watch on that show is they get to a point, and I'm going to be very bad at drawing it, but you come to a point and there is a wall. And on this wall, there are some little rails of wood, and you're going to have to go across them with your fingers. I'm not sure what it's called. I think it's called something like the cliffhanger, or the ultimate cliffhanger, or the exciting cliffhanger, something like that. But what you do, and it's pretty impressive what they do, when they start, there's just a little tiny strip of wood from the very beginning that goes about that far. So it's a little strip of wood that goes like that, and they have to grab hold with their arm, and they have to work their way this way. So when you get to the end of this one, it's actually probably a little further. When you get to the end of this one, you do not have to, it's not like it keeps going. You have to get to a platform that's over here. Actually, I think it's a little bit more like here. You have to get to that platform. But when you get here, there's nothing else you can do but take another little rail that goes up this way and ends about right there. So you have to go this way, and then you have to jump and catch onto this one. You have to go on that one, and you have to shimmy your way up this way. And then when you get to this one, there's another one that goes all the way over here. And you have to go ahead, and when you get here, hop on up here and shimmy your way all the way down this way. And you aren't done yet, though. When you get there, you have to drop down, and there's another one like this. So then you have to go from here. You have to drop down, hang on, and shimmy your way this way, and then jump onto this platform. It's pretty incredible. If you've never seen it, it's quite something. I don't think I would be able to do it. But it's pretty impressive the way they do that. So they have to shimmy all the way. It's like 5 feet, and then they have to come back about 3 feet, and then they have to go all the way this way, and then drop down and go back this way, and then hop onto that. It's a pretty impressive thing. I really enjoy watching it. So let's go ahead and get started with our math lesson today. So let's go ahead and figure out what our standard is going to be. What's our standard going to be? Our standard today, it's a little bit of a long one, so get ready to write, is 7.NS.A.1b. So this is 7th grade, the number system, standard A1b. Now, I do have to apologize. On the front row, Ed, the number system is actually one of the advanced domains. So we did not take this diagnostic. So yesterday when we were trying to do the math homework, I know a few people found out that they were not able to get to the number system assigned practice. So just go ahead when you get a chance and take this diagnostic so we can get past that, and then we can start doing some assigned work on this. So this is our standard. Now it's a bit of a long standard, so get ready to write. But we're going to write the whole thing because we want to copy these standards too. All right. So this standard states, understand P plus Q. Remember, those are going to be variables. So understand P plus Q as the number located a distance absolute value of Q from P. Now, it's a little confusing to hear. Understand that P plus Q as the number located a distance Q from P. So what they're saying is if you're adding P and Q, your number, let's say that we're talking about this right here, like we're talking about the American Ninja Warrior, you have to go this way, go back, and then this way. You're looking for a distance past this. So a distance Q from P. And we'll go into that and get some examples of that. And then in the positive or negative direction, depending on whether Q is a positive or negative number. Not done yet. Show that a number and its opposite. Now, this is one of the things we did yesterday. Show that a number and its opposite have a sum of 0. And that's also called being, they are additive inverses, which we talked about yesterday. Interpret sums of rational numbers by describing, almost done now, real world contexts. Okay, that is a long standard. I understand. I'm sorry. But go ahead and write that one down. And I'm going to read it over one more time. So understand P plus Q as the number located at distance Q from P in the positive or negative direction, depending on whether Q is a positive or negative number. Show that a number and its opposite have a sum of 0, or are additive inverses. Interpret sums of rational numbers by describing real-world contexts. We'll put a little N. I missed that. So what this first part means is that we just need to, and it's worded a lot more complicated than it actually is. It just means that we need to know that when you add something like this, whether it's negative or positive, you need to know the directions that we're moving. Positive, negative, negative, and then here. Okay? And the second part says show that a number and its opposite have a sum of 0. Should be pretty easy for us. We did that yesterday. And finally, interpret sums of rational numbers by describing real-world contexts. So we're going to be using some real-world questions. Some of the questions you will get throughout this lesson are real-world questions that you need to solve. Sort of like this Ninja Warrior question. right? If you start at 0 and you add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you subtract 1, 2, 3, and then you add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then you subtract 1, 2, 3, where do you end up? It's a real world problem, and it's actually something you can watch on TV, and it's entertaining. So now let's move down. So let's actually get into it. We're not going to have much input today. We've already done a lot of the stuff that we were going to do today. So I'm going to go ahead and put input. We really only have one language of the discipline that we're going to be trying to do today. My lips are not looking so great. Okay. The first one, it should be very simple, and it is just a number line. A number line. Because a lot of what we're doing today, we're going to be using number lines, visual. So any of you who are spatial, you're going to enjoy seeing this. Number line. A number line is a visual representation of the value of numbers. Everyone should see of numbers. Everyone should know what a number line is. You start using them very early on in your life. So we're just going to put that down so that we have that down there. The other term we should remember, and I'm not going to write it down because we did it yesterday, is additive inverse. Additive inverse. -2 and 2 are additive inverses. -4 and 4 are additive inverses. Right now we're just dealing with integers, so we don't need to worry about the fractions. We're just doing integers here. So let's go ahead and get into our details. So you can go ahead and draw my flower here. And let's get some details. The first thing we're going to be doing is to use addition with integers. We're doing adding and subtracting today. So we are going to first use addition with integers. Okay, and it's going to be pretty quick because really you've seen questions like this before. We just want to make sure that we understand so that we can use them when it comes to these other questions. So for each of these, I'm going to go ahead and draw a number line. So to use addition with integers, let's start with a very simple, easy one. Here's a number line. Bring it out to there. I'll say this is 0 right there in the middle, so we have a negative side and we have a positive side. Okay, and let's say that the question, just go with this simple question for right now, is 4 plus 3. Easy, right? Everyone should know that just in their head. We're 7th grade, we should know how to add two numbers. So, because this is setting up our base knowledge, we're going to start at 0, and you're going to go over positive 1, 2, 3, 4. Then from here, starting at that point, you are then going to add 3. So in the positive direction, 1, 2, 3. So you are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from 0. And this is going to equal 7. Simple. Should not be a problem for anyone. So let's go ahead and move on. The great thing about video is if you need to copy that down, you can just pause the video. Okay, here we go. Our second part, our second question that we're going to be looking at is going to be now throwing in some negatives. So let's do the same kind of question. 4 plus -3. That is a little different. It's going to be just as easy, but we want to make sure that we're looking at it and understanding it. So let's go ahead and make our number line. We'll put 0 right here. So for this one, we're going to start with 4. We're going to start with 4. Oops. Okay. So we're going to start with 4. From here, I'm going to move positive 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where I'm starting. Now my second one, I'm going to add negative. I'm going to add a negative. Now to add a negative, you just subtract. Adding a negative is just like subtracting. You're going to go back 1, 2, 3 to the negative side. And that's going to be where your answer is. So 4 plus negative 3 gives us 1. So that's a little more confusing, but still shouldn't be too much. We're adding a negative number to what we're doing. So we're going in the negative direction. And the last one we're going to do for addition is going to be a little bit more complicated. Negative 2 plus negative 3. Okay, so it's still an addition problem, but now we have a lot of negative numbers in there. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my number line once again. And go ahead and put my 0 right in there. And now we're starting negative. Negative 1, negative 2. So that's where we're going to start. And now we're going to add a negative, which means we are moving in the negative direction. So we're going to start from here and go 1, 2, 3. And our answer is going to be negative 2 and then negative 3 more, which would give us negative 5. Okay, so that's just what we need to keep straight when we are adding. But that's not the only thing we're learning about today. We are also learning how to subtract with integers. Excuse me. With integers. So we're adding with integers, and now we're subtracting with integers. So again, we're going to use our number lines. And we're going to get a few sample problems here. The first one is just going to be pretty simple. 6 minus 3. 6 minus 3. Simple. So let's draw our number line. Put in my 0. And then this one is 6 minus 3. So we're going to start at 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've started at 6. Now we're going to subtract, which means to go negative 3. 1, 2, 3. And our answer is going to be 3. Put a box around. So 6 minus 3 is 3. But everyone knows how to do that in their head anyway. So let's get a little bit more complicated. The next one we're going to do is 2. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. 2 minus negative 3. 2 minus negative 3. Again, I'll put in, actually, let's make our 0 over here this time, out of the way. Now we're going to start with a positive 2. 1, 2. That's where we're starting. Now we're subtracting a negative 3. We're taking away a negative 3. And this is a double negative we have right here. So when you do that, you can pretend, if you like Power Rangers, when all of them power up, they come together. This subtraction sign and this subtraction sign combine, and just think of it like a plus sign. So 2 minus a negative 3. If you minus a negative, you subtract a negative, you're going to actually be adding. So 2 plus 1, 2, 3. And that's going to be a positive 5. A positive 5. So that's the tricky part about this. Just to know that those two will combine. Those two will combine. So I'm going to go ahead and put a red star right here too, because that's the only part of this I feel like is going to be a little tricky for some of us. So let's do the last one. And the last one is if you see something with a word. And on this one, I'm going to just go ahead and say subtract 4 from negative 3. So let's go ahead and draw our number line. Put in a 0. Subtract 4 from negative 3. So for this one, we have to sort of understand what we're doing first. we want to subtract 4, but we need to subtract 4 from something, from -3. So we're going to start with -3. -1, -2, -3. And then we're going to subtract 4. That means we're going to go in the negative direction, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to be our answer, -7. So that's really all we need to go over today. So we're going to jump from this now into some modeling before we get working on our guided and independent practice and before we end our lesson today. So over here on the side, I'm going to start with modeling. And let's get a few sample questions in. These are questions you probably will see as you come into the homework and on the test. So first, number 1. Number 1 says, how would you show -8 plus -3 on a number line? So first, when we see this, we're going to have to create a number line, just asking on a number line. So we'll put in our 0, put it over here. And what we have to see is we have to start with our -8. Start with -8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's where we're going to start. And now it says to add -3. Now that's not two negatives, so we're not going to add. We're not going to be a positive. We are going to go in the negative direction 3 more. 1, 2, 3. And there is our answer, -11. So that's how you would show that problem on a number line. Number 2. Now you can do this with or without a number line. I'm going to do this next one without a number line. And it just says solve 3 minus -11. If we remember from what we were talking about earlier, if you have 2 negative signs, it becomes a positive sign. So really you're doing 3 plus 11, which is much simpler, which gives us 14. All right. Our next one, number 3, is going to give us something to fill in. -5, you have to do something and to equal -1. So -5 something equals -1. What are we going to do? Now there's more than one way to answer this. You can use addition or subtraction, either one. So let's figure out what we need to do. So over here on the side, I'm going to draw a little number line so I can visually see it. I'm much more of a spatial person, so I like to see things. If we're starting at -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and we want to get to -1, that means we need whatever this is. We need to move this direction however much that is. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to add 4. Now using addition, that's simple. We can just say -5 plus 4. Simple. -5, add 4, gives us -1. Or we can do even trickier, sort of like our question above, and say minus -4. Because those two subtraction signs would become a positive sign. All right, that's number 3. And number 4, the last one, is just asking you to see how are these similar on a number line. How are these similar on a number line? These two things that I'm going to be giving you right now are -3 plus 10 and 10 plus -3. Now you can draw out a number line for that and see how it looks. But if you can think about it in your head as well, if we're starting at a -3 and we're adding 10, that's going to end us up at +7. If we're starting at 10 and we're adding a negative, that's going to take 10 and subtract 3, you're ending at +7. So how are they similar on a number line? They both end at +7. So those are all modeling questions. You'll see questions similar to those as you go through your guided and independent practice. So let's take a look at what our guided and independent practice will be. First of all, let's take a look at our guided practice. Guided practice is going to be 1-2 homework and 1-4 homework. Remember, both of these are up on your pearsonrealize.com page. You'll be able to click in there. It is clickable online. You'll be able to finish those up. So those are your guided practice. There's 2 that you need to finish tonight. And then for your independent practice, I want you to go to front row A. Now, if you did not do the diagnostic for the number system, do that diagnostic. And that's all you need to do tonight. If you have done the diagnostic, you can go ahead and go to 7.NS.A.1b. And actually, you can also do and 1C. It's very similar. Give you some good practice. So that is your assignment for this lesson. Hope everyone has a wonderful night. Remember, the lesson you are doing tomorrow will not be a workshop. So you're going to be going through the actual online resources, taking notes the same way, and having everything set. So this is the end of our lesson. Everyone have a great day and go Bucks.